On what basis do you say that the Cadbury chocolate is better? Because it gives you a better experience. So through experience alone, do you say something is better, or is there anything else? We do have something better, namely on the scale of subtlety. If something is subtler, we call that as superior. We call the same thing as higher. Higher and superior are on the basis of subtlety. Something is subtle, the subtle can control the gross. The gross cannot control the subtle. For instance, I will say that Rasagulla is more grosser than its ingredients, namely the milk, sugar, and so on. Correct? Because with milk, sugar, and so on, you can create many different sweets. But once you create Rasagulla, its form and purpose is fixed. So, which is controlling? Now, Rasagulla is controlled. Bring a pickle, any Telugu person here? Yeah, bring a pickle, any Telugu person here? Yeah. So, whenever you bring pickles, instantly, even the picture of a pickle bottle waters your mouth. Why? Because it brings in the memory of those interesting objects. So, that means what? That pickle is controlling your tongue. So, something is controlling you means that is superior. That is on a practical basis, but on a more philosophical basis, the sense organs are created. If you will understand clearly, sense organs are created after the sense objects came into existence. Sense objects were the first to be created. You will be surprised to know that. In the sequence of creation, first came the tanmatras. Tanmatras. From the tanmatras came the bhutas. From the bhutas came the objects. Can we have electricity as another sense? We say no, but Swamiji Vivekananda says if that is a force proven to be something fundamental, if that is a force which is proven to be fundamental, then there will be a sense organ to experience that sense. What a wonderful construction, you see. I was really impressed with it. So what it means to say is the sense objects are fundamental and therefore more powerful than your sense organs. Sense organs are created because such a sense object is present. And if a new fundamental sense object will get constructed in this nature, then an appropriate sense organ also will be along with that construct. Fantastic. And we see lower organisms. They cannot enjoy all the five senses, all the five sense objects. They can only interact with 2 or maximum 3. In fact, scripture says there only one of the senses highly evolved. In our case, all the sense organs are fully evolved. All the 5 sense organs. So for them, but by the 5 sense objects are still there, but for the animals it is not fully manifested. It's manifested only in the man. That means what? Sense objects are superior to sense organs. So indriyebhya, compared to the indriyas, which are sense organs, the objects are superior. My friends, whenever we get deluded by sense objects, know for sure that you are forced by the compulsion of the nature to be obedient and obligated. This is not a sign of mastery at all. Mastery comes in when you are able to withdraw yourself from the demands, from the pulls and the pangs of the sense objects impinging on your senses, your mind. Anyway, we'll come to that. Arthebhyascha param manaha. Better than, superior to these objects is the mind. The reason is, these sense organs, they are only carriers. What they do is, they take the information, the pulses arising from the sense objects, and they communicate the sense objects as pulses to the mind. So the mind is all of them are getting a kind of an intermediate contact with the objects. This one through the eyes, and the touch through my skin, and so on. So all these intermediate sense objects are only translating the signal, a gross signal, to a subtle signal to my mind. So ultimately they are also objects. That's the reason why objects in the third sense, objects are superior to senses. Finally, because the mind gets to see only objects, not the senses. Mind gets to see the objects. That's why, since it is presented to the mind, mind is the master. Manasastu parabuddhihi. Superior to this mind is your intellect. Reason? Intellect is the deciding factor, because mind goes on asking this question whether it is this or that. Mind is something which mind, according to our philosophy, is an instrument that will continuously raise questions. Mind is not the one which will answer the questions. Mind is the organ which will continuously question the input. What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? Where is this? How is this? Who is this? When is this? All kinds of 7 kinds of questions are there. Mind only can ask questions. You will be surprised to know. And it is the buddhi which stops the mind. Arey, enough of questioning. This is this. That is that. So it has to put a stop to the question, and mind does, and buddhi does that. So that means what? Buddhi has a greater control on the mind, because it is able to stop the mind from further questioning along one particular thought. That's the reason why the buddhi has to be trained, because on what basis it is putting a stop to the mind? Is it a right proposition or an incorrect proposition? So if you train the mind, rather the buddhi, then with the right proposition, it will stop the mind. Stop the mind from further getting into questions. So that's what is called nishchayatmika, determinative faculty.
What trains the buddhi?
Through what you call as disciplines, samadhi, shatka, sampatti, and all, trains the buddhi. And there are the entire spiritual journey is training the buddhi. And what happens, see, this is a feedback oriented system, meaning to say that every signal that is responded is again fed back into your system. Is again fed back into the system. So your response, mind asks a question, buddhi responds. Subsequent to which mind acts. That is again fed to buddhi. So buddhi therefore will have to continuously evolve based on the feedback, based on the conduciveness, based on the conformity. So the conformity and conduciveness could be either selfish manner or in unselfish manner. So the ideology will come into picture. So on and so forth. So buddhi, the training of the buddhi is the do-all and end-all of sadhana. No, nothing else you can train. Only buddhi can be trained. They say that, no, train your sense organs. Yeah, training your sense organ can be done only through buddhi. Hey, train your mind. Why mind is getting into so many waves of questioning? Stop your mind from asking too many questions. That also should be done only through buddhi. So interestingly, buddhi is the only faculty which, that's why we say, widening the horizon of intellect. Horizon of intellect, the window of intellect. These are the very fancy words we use for training the buddhi. Anyway, so manasastu para buddhi, this buddhi is superior, and superior to buddhi is for what is this buddhi functioning? There must be a purpose. The lecture is being given for whom? To the empty room? Possibly. But there is some taker, right? So this buddhi is also functioning for some joker. So the joker, system calls him Atma. Atma is the person. Why I am calling joker? Because he is always blissful. His Atma is never sad. He is totally blissful. The joker is a person who will always make others laugh, and he will also be hopefully laughing. Right? So and Buddhe Atma. This Atma is Mahan, great. Paraha, different from all. Okay? And here again he says, higher, higher, higher. What is higher? What do you mean by higher? Higher simply means subtler. Which controls what? The controller is higher. The controlled is lower. The controller is subtler. The controlled is grosser. The controller is strong, the controlled is weak. That's all, simple. No further distinction between these two. Now, Mahataha Paramabhyakta, how to reach the goal. Now, in the earlier perspective, earlier was Veshti perspective, individual's perspective. Now comes the Samashti perspective. Mahat is the global intelligence. Each one of us have a so-called individual intelligence. Now, if you put all the intelligences together, you get something called as a cosmic order. There is something that is extremely perfect and super fine about the creation. Correct? We are baffled by so much of perfection in the creation. Now that means there must be some intelligence behind it. It's a proposition. Just as the way when we do something perfectly, are able to create an object perfectly, we ask about the intelligent creator behind that object. Likewise, we are also tending to ask this question: do we have such an intelligent creator behind this perfect creation? Perfection in the sense of everything is working in tandem. The tandemness is a mark of perfection. Here, suppose I cough a bit, I choke a bit, then somebody comes and gives water to me. So that means the two persons are having an experience in tandem. One man suffers, the other man knows the remedy, and he immediately supplies the remedy. Correct? So this tandemness do we find everywhere? Among the created human beings, we don't find that. But in the creation itself, we find extreme tandemness. Very high degree of tandemness we find in the creation. You see the entire cosmological, spectacles are all phenomenon that are happening kshane, muhurte in tandem. So that means there must be a super cosmic intelligence which is governing this whole creation, so to say. Correct? So that is Mahat. Now, compared to that Mahat is superior, there is something called as Avyakta, unmanifest. Because this Mahat is only, according to philosophy, is only a particular manifestation of the full potency. Even this is only a particular manifestation. So, what do you call that? That call is Avyakta, which is unmanifest. So, from the unmanifest, since Mahat came, unmanifest is much more stronger, much more superior, much more subtler, much more higher. So, Param, superior. Avyakta is superior to Mahat. And Avyakta to Purusha Paraha. So, this unmanifest is also seen from the perspective of what is called as, you may possibly say, as a summum bonum of the unmanifest energy. And Mahat is that amount of energy which is manifested. So, superior to this unmanifest energy is that Purusha. Purusha is that supreme soul in whom we never find any decay, in whom we never find any activity, in whom we never find any darkness or weakness or anything that is negative. So that is Purusha. And the Purusha is superior even to Avyakta. Actually, Sankhya philosophy calls this Avyakta as the Prakriti. Prakriti is everything about this creation. And Purusha is the master of the creation. This dichotomy we find in explaining this entire cosmology. Where there is an organic evolution, there is a cosmological evolution. In the organic evolution, we find the human subsystems coming in, and in the cosmological evolution, we find everything that we experience that comes in. Correct? So behind these two, behind both the cosmological evolution and organic evolution, you have this Purusha. That's where the unification happens. This unification is not found in any philosophy other than our Vedic philosophy. Only Vedic philosophy proposes this unification, which is the Purusha. So that Purusha is Paraha, is supreme. Purushanna Param Kinchit, beyond this Purusha, the supreme ruler, there is no other person. Why so much of eulogy about this Purusha? We will see shortly. Sakashtha. Sakashtha means he is the culmination. Kashtha means culmination. And Paragatihi. He is the goal. The Vijnana Sarati when he is going to drive the chariot, he is going towards the goal. What is that goal? This Purusha is the goal. So the entire imagery comes to a complete halt at this point. Now we proceed further. Yesha sarveshu bhuteshu gudo atmana.
Both cosmological and organic, both are termed as prakriti.
Now, in the organic evolution, we find the soul coming into picture. We find the soul. In that sense, I am calling organic. In cosmological, everything that is objective, that is prakriti. Now, yes. In cosmological creation, we say everything that is objective. From the Anu up to Brahma, up to the Brahma Loka, so to say. Entire thing is under the cosmological evolution. And when we say organic evolution, we mean the soul, because that is the only seat where the soul is observed, where the soul seems to be functioning. Correct? But behind both these, we have the Purusha. So, what is then soul called? The soul is called Atma. Soul is called Atma. Atma at the individual level. Now, the Atma at the cosmological level, which will also include your what you call your body, your mind, your intellect, everything is included into the cosmological evolution. So, there you will find the word Purusha will be used. Just a terminology. Purusha, Atma, Brahman are same. Okay, and then come to the next level. Ishwara, Pratamaja, Hiranyagarbha, they are same.
They are below Purusha.
They are below Purusha. Below in the sense of not inferior, but more particularized. Just as milk, sugar getting particularized to Rasagulla. Rasagulla is more particularized. Correct? In that sense, your Hiranyagarbha is particularized. No, Paramatma is Ishwara. Paramatma, what you call Paramatma is Ishwara. Yo lokatrayam avritya vibhartihi avyayaha Ishwaraha.
Atma and Ishwara is individual level also.
In the individual level, there is someone called Prajna. Prayena Anyaha. In the individual, Dashti level. In Samashti level, it is called Ishwara.
Why is this division? Like Purusha, then Ishwara.
No, the reason here is this. Because from the Purusha, from the Ishwara, you have the beginning of creation. The creation begins with Ishwara. That's why Pratama Jha. Jha means to be born. Okay, Pratama, first born. So we need to see the creation, as the Socrates said, tell me something which moved first. I will explain the whole creation. To him, I wanted to say Ishwara is the one. Because we do have a terminology for that. Ishwara is the first person, so to say, Hiranyagarbha. Garbha is that womb from where everything else is created. From where the children are brought out. From the Garbha, children are brought out. So what are the children for the Hiranya, for the Ishwara? Everything. Both animate and inanimate.
Is Purusha the Nirgun Brahma and Ishwara?
Yes, very correct. Purusha is Nirguna Brahman, Nirakara, Nirvikara.
And creation is not started from Purusha.
No, we cannot say, because at the what is called as a zero pole or the monopole state, we cannot describe the creation at all. We cannot describe what it is there at all. When something comes into existence, subsequently you can point out to that and then say it is there. So whether Ishwara is that. So our inquiry about this creation should not go beyond Ishwara. At the Ishwara, we should have a kind of a compromise.
Because we cannot perceive Purusha.
We cannot perceive Purusha objectively. So that is the reason why one should never extend the inquiry beyond Ishwara. Up to Ishwara, we cannot. Most do. We will see that there are verses to that effect. I only wish we had another 5 more weeks to do. But anyway, the subject is becoming more interesting. Drishyate yesha sarveshu gudaha. This fellow, this joker whom you are referring to, the happy Atma, Guda, he is hidden. Na prakashate. He is not visible to the common intellect. He is Gudaha. Gudaha means hidden, secretively hidden somewhere. Who sarveshu bhuteshu. No one is exempted from ant to Buddha. In everyone, this Atma is sitting there. Drishyate greya buddhya sukshmaya sukshma darshaniki. So with a pointed and refined intellect, we will be able to perceive this sukshma to sukshmam. The subtlest of the subtle, your brain is able to experience it. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. What is the means of attainment? And he said, this is a very beautiful idea. This is there in the Katho Upanishad. We will find it very poetically and very pragmatically delineated in Rudra Prashna. There is a Rudra Geetam about Maharudra Shiva. There is a Lagunyasa. In Lagunyasa, nicely, this idea is delineated of how to, this is what is called resolution. You take a grosser thing and then you resolve back to the basics. You have to resolve back to the basics, back to the foundation, back to the origin. Correct? So this is resolving back to the origin. And Rudra gives a meditation, wonderful meditation for resolving back to the origin. And every time you chant that and then sit for meditation, it will be wonderful. It will be really good. Rudra Prashna, it's in Vedas. It is Rudra is in the Khilakanda, the 10th chapter of Rig Veda. It is about the praise of Rudra Devata. So there in Lagunyasa you have this meditation. Agnenne vachishvitaha vakridaye kridayammaye agamamrute amritam brahmani. Like this, every object will be taken and resolved back to Brahman. More than 13, 14 different objects will be taken. And the moment you go on chanting and then assuming each of those ideas in quick succession, you find that Amritam Brahmani, that Brahman, which is Purusha, it becomes a kind of a firm thought in our mind. And mind settles in that. Through this process of resolution, resolving back to the origin. So here also a similar such idea is presented. Yached vak manasi. Now the merging, resolving is actually merging. You are merging the vak, speech, in mind. Speech is merged into mind. Prajnaha. Prajnaha is the person who is discriminating. Correct? Prajnaha. Prayena ajnaha. But he is also called prajna. Prayena ajna means generally he is ignorant. Prayena ajnaha. Also is called prajnaha, also means a person who is knowledgeable also. Surprisingly, the same word can mean both. A man who is discriminating is actually knowledgeable. So, prajnaha, a discriminating man, he merges the vak in manas. And then, that manas, where is he going to merge? He is going to merge the manas into what is called jnana atma. Welcome. Jnana atma is nothing but, it's called vijnana atma. Vijnanamaya kosha. Manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. So vak is there actually in pranamaya kosha. Prana. So pranamaya kosha is merged into manomaya kosha. Manasi. Then manasi at yachet. Yacha means to merge. Actually yacha means to give. Prayachati means giving. Okay. So here giving means this is leaving and joining the other person. So that is also considered as merging. Another derivative meaning merging. So the prana is merged into mind. So vak is merged into mind. And then mind is merged into vijnanamaya kosha, which is buddhi. So that actually is called as jnana atmani. Jnana atma. Jnana atma is actually buddhi. Then jnana atmani, jnanam here is identified with buddhi. Mahati atmani. Mahati atmani, this is very this is where, interestingly, the Vyashti and Samashti are combined. Earlier, Vyashti resolution was given separately and Samashti was given separately. Here, both are merged. See, when I consider myself as at that plane of intelligence as an intelligent self, now from that intelligent self, I don't have another self in me to merge. Because the another self within me is called Anandamaya Atma, but that Anandamaya Atma is presently not awakened. Is not awakened. So that Anandamaya Atma is enjoying bliss in ignorance. Because I am a sadhaka now. I have not realized soul. I have not yet known the Purusha yet. So the scripture, what it is saying is, now this Vijnanamaya Atma, you merge it with the universal Atma, universal intelligence. So you consider your intelligence to be just a bubble in a cosmic blot of intelligence. So from your Vyashti, you are expanding to Samashti. I don't consider myself now as an individual. Now that I am established in the Vijnanamaya Atma, which is Buddhi, determinative faculty, now this Buddhi is all pervasive in the name of Mahat. So that is what is called as the cosmic or the universal intelligence. So which can also be called as a collective intelligence. If people does not want to individualize this universal intelligence, then through set theory we can have something called as a universal set, which is the union of all sets. So likewise, we can consider a universal intelligence, out of which my intelligence is just a speck of a dust. And then you merge this into that. You see, at this very point in your meditation, your identification expands. It cuts across all boundaries. You are able to cut asunder various kinds of limitations and shortcomings that you are having. And there is another intelligent, rather, I should say, benefit out of it. You can steal intelligence from others. Now, when you expand, when your mind becomes, so to say, in your meditative process, it gets merged with the universal intellect, and then it comes back. Sometimes you will have to acquire this individual consciousness in your meditation. When you come back, do you think you will come back pauper? You go for sightseeing with the eyes open or eyes closed? Eyes open. So when you take your buddhi, go out and come back, will the buddhi come empty bagged? This buddhi will be full of ideas. Full of ideas which you have never ever thought. This is the source of all scientific invention, which a scientist is able to do it unknowingly. Scripture says, do it consciously. What a wonderful, wonderful hint we get, you see. Jnanamatmani mahati niyajye. Get into the cosmic intelligence. The moment you log into the cosmic intelligence, you come back rich with ideas. And then, tadyachet shanta atmani. Once you have identified with this mahati niyajye, and then our objective is not to come back and then do again this mathematics and physics. Our objective is to realize the self. So the moment we are able to break out, cut all the shackles and then move out of our boundaries into the universal intelligence, then we further work out what is more fundamental to this universal intelligence, which is the Purusha. Purusha is the most fundamental to the universal intelligence, and then you merge that universal intelligence into that Purusha. In that state of mind, you merge that into Purusha, and then, because that is Sakashta, Saparagati, that is the thing to be attained, and then you remain there. That is the peaceful Shanta Atma. It's called Shanta Atma. Absolutely avikriya, ashuddha, purna shuddha, parishuddha. Not a single dust of objectivity will be there. Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapyavana, Nibodhata, Swami Vivekananda's clarion call. Okay? So now, after having known all these fantastic ideas, oh, acha, okay, Mahati Atma, Shanta Atma, Jnana Atma, acha, okay, now next Rasagulla, where it will come from? Why don't do that? Don't settle back. Don't settle back. Now that you have known this grand truth, Uttishtata, rise. and then awake. Awake means look around and then implement all those things within your own models. Prapya varan nibodatha. Varan means the excellent. Prapya, reaching those excellent beings, reaching those gurus, those masters, reaching them, nibodatha, get awakened, learn from them. Bodha means to know. Nibodatha, get yourself instructed by approaching the greats, the Maran. Maran means what? Superior, excellent ones who have already traversed that path, who have already attained perfection in that path. Shurasya Dara, but nevertheless, even though so many encomiums are given about this knowledge, nevertheless, Shurasya Dara, it is difficult. It is like a sharp edge. Durgam patastaha. Pataha, that path is durgam, is difficult to negotiate. Kavayo vadanti. Kavayaha vadanti means those people who have already went through those paths, they know it for better. And they say it is difficult, so don't take it lightly. That means what? You should not spare any effort in trying to attain this meditative oneness with the Purusha. Ashabdam asparsham arupam avyayam. Now why it is Churasya Dara, why it is Durgam Pataha, that is being explained. Ashabdam, it has no sound. Asparsham, it cannot be touched. Arupam, it has no form. It is Avyayam, it is not manifest in any one of the face. Arasam, you cannot taste it. Nityam, it is eternal, permanent. Agandhavat, you cannot smell. So we are all bound by only these 5 things. And all these 5 experiences are denied. So then how do you expect it? Like looking for a non-existing black cat in a dark room in an Amavasya night. So this is the search like that? No, the search is not like that. Nityam. It's not non-existing cat. But existing cat is existing. Anadi. This particular thing has no beginning. This cat came yesterday? No. This cat was there for a long time. Anantam. This cat is going to be there forever. Mahataha. It is superior. Mahataf param. Sorry. Mahataf param is superior to Mahat. Superior to the intelligence. Not just your individual intelligence. It is superior even to the universal intelligence. So that means what? Don't put your introspection into that. Interrogation into that. Put introspection, certainly, but never interrogate. That is why it is said Mahataha param. Because it's beyond intelligence. Dhruvam. Dhruvam means distinct. Nichaya. Nichaya means it's being put in blue color for you to quickly pick. You see, Nichaya comes last, but in English translation it comes earlier. That's why, Sanskrit is beautiful that way. Nichaya tam mrityu mukhat punam. Mukha means on the face of danger or death. You get freed. Freeing from the face of danger, from the death. Now, why is that? Are you afraid of death? No. Just the contrary. I'm freed from death, not running away. Death runs away from you. Getting freed from death is in 2 ways. You run away from death, or death running away from you. Both are freeing. It is actually the death running away from you. Death cannot approach you at all. Because death is coming only from Ishwara downwards. But you have reached the Purusha. So the death will run away from you. And then eulogy of such a knowledge. Nachiketa upakhyana mrityu proktam sanatanam uktva shrutva cha medavi brahmaloke mahiyate. The beautiful idea here is that shrutva, a person who hears even this rendering, this entire thing which Yama told Nachiketa, shrutva, uktva, somebody is telling and somebody is listening. Brahmaloke, medavi, such a person who is so intelligent that he is able to speak about it and people are there to listen to it, they become Brahmaloke mahiyate. They all get glorified in Brahmaloka, Hiranyagarbhaloka. So that is actually the eulogy of the subject. So why should I study? You see, You get Brahmaloka Prapti. By hearing itself, you get Brahmaloka Prapti. See, it's not a simple thing. This actually makes a lot of sense. This is not a mere eulogy. In our city traffic, now people used to joke. If you want to catch a mode of transport, which will certainly take you to the destination amidst, unending traffic problems, which mode of transport will you take?
What?
Auto. Excellent. So how do they say that? If you give the space for the front wheel to enter, he will take you through. But only constraint front wheel should enter. He will take you through any chaos. Correct? That's what this is doing. Now, the seed of this hungering after Purusha is now like a front wheel gone into the listener's head. You cannot but think at some later point in time. It will take huge proposition. Don't think you guys are all now total converts. You are no more the same good old chap as you entered IIT. You are no more the same. Because you have heard this. That's what the scripture says. You have heard this. And this front wheel tire is going to pave, a vista of opening into a panoramic experience. And this is not going to keep quiet. It's going to churn. Subconsciously, it starts churning within you. That is the beauty of this knowledge. I may forget the mathematical tables. It doesn't churn anything within me. Newton's law of mechanics, I can forget. It doesn't churn even a particle of my brain. But this one is not going to keep quiet. On the authority of the scripture. This is not what my story, on the authority of the scripture. So, Brahmaloke Mahiyate means when the eventual day comes, that time this particular knowledge will rule supreme in your mind. And it's going to make you completely a wholesome person. Because Purusha is wholesome. Everything has come out of the Purusha. Okay. Yaimam paramam guhyam shravaye. Again, shravaye. See, the Shravana has been mentioned twice. Not for no reason. Imam paramam guhyam. Guhyam means secret. Supreme secret. Shravayet Brahma Samsadi. That is, among the here Brahmins are those people who lead a disciplined life. Brahmana is a kula not identified by birth, but by the conduct. Scripture never identifies kula by birth. Never. Never ever. But the real meaning is a person who walks in Brahman is a Brahmana. Who walks in Brahman is Brahman. Not who is born to a Brahman. Not a Brahma Bandhu. A Brahma Bandhu, if you say in Vedas also, in the context of scriptures, if somebody is referred to as a Brahma Bandhu, it is making him inferior. You know something? That I am born to a Brahmin, I am related to a Brahmin, I am a friend of Brahmin, something. Anything in relationship with a Brahmana. If you mention the relationship, you are inferior. So much less will be the honor given to that person who brags himself of being a Brahmin by birth. Brahmin by birth is inferior according to claim. I'm saying to claim. That's the reason why this Brahma Bandhu word has come to take that negative connotation. So here, therefore, this cannot be a Brahma Bandhu types. This has to be the absolute sense of a person who has attained Brahman, Purusha, Atman. Such a person in Samsadi, in their midst, having this related, narrated and heard. That is, Tada Anantyaya Kalpate. Anantyaya Kalpate means what? it is conducive for your final consummation. And Shraddha Kale api. Suppose there is Shraddha that is happening in the house, then you can read this text. Because Shraddha is a time when people mourn. They mourn the bereaved souls, they mourn the ones who have passed away. So, rather than mourning, they say that read this Katho Upanishad. Then it will lead you to everlasting good. So, we come to the end of this and we'll take up the next chapter, which is second canto, first chapter. Second chapter, first canto. Yes. So, the good news of this particular chapter is that there is this ultimate reality, that is Atman. The existence is certified. And then not so good news is it is subtle and therefore not readily perceived. Saving grace, through refined and appointed intellect, it can be known. Bad news. So what is to be done? Know the obstacles. Paranjikani vedanat swayambhu tasmat parang pashyati nantaratma kaschid dhira pratyagatmanamaikshat avritta chakshuhu amritatvam. So the Brahma, Swayambhu is a person who has created first. So Swayambhu, what he did was when he created this Jivatma, senses came into picture, and then what he did is struck Vyatranat. Vyatranat means striking it or killing it. Killing is a very harsh word, striking is a better word. Striking to make these sense organs move outside. Paranchi, para, parak drishti means what? Seeing outside. It's called parak drishti. Pratyak drishti means seeing inside. Parak drishti. So paranchi, khani means organs, sense organs. So these organs are struck and then made to look outside. So eyes always see outside. Does it see inside? Now every experience is only about outside. We don't see anything inside. Suppose I consider my Ishtadevata sitting inside and I want to touch him. Can I feel? Can I feel that? Actually, through practice you can. Now you want to imagine. You imagine. Do you see or you imagine? We imagine. But can we see? Yes, you can see. So, but by the virtue, I won't say virtue, but by the, what you call the defect that has been seeded in by the Swayambhu, we don't get this experience of inward vision. Therefore, it's paranchi, it's going outside. That's why it sees paran pashyati, it only sees outside, not the inside. Nantaratma. Kaschid dhira, the courageous. The courageous is the person who denies that external vision. He says that if things from outside are being presented in such a lolayamana fashion, entertaining fashion, then there must be something inside also which is more entertaining. The reason is, you see, what do we do with our wealth? We keep that in secret. Do you keep the wealth open? We don't do that. We keep the wealth in a secret lockers. But then thieves will come and look for the locker. So what do? You create small lockers. You create small lockers and put some pennies and pittance. So that the guy will come and say, hey, this locker has only this much. Hopeless fellow. These guys are beggars. So anyway, I have come here, let me take this pennies. He takes it and goes. You have lured him away from the main object. You have a granary of grains. Now the rat will come and attack them. So what do? You take puffed rice, nicely fried, and then you strew it in a path which is diverging away from the granary. Now all the rats and rodents will be busy nibbling at those droppings, and they will forget the granary. My friends, the nature is also playing the same trick. So there is a huge granary inside. And with these external lolayamanas, entertainings, our mind is getting eternally engaged. And then we are not. That's why dhira, it requires courage. This rat has to be very courageous to give up this, sweet muri, sweet and puffed and then fried and then quite aromatic. He has to be very courageous. If this is there, that means there must be something which is greater inside. And then had he given up and then waited inside, he would have found, illimitable treasure. So it requires courage. Pratyagatmanu Maisha. In order to find out that granary, Avrita Chakshuhu, he withdraws his senses. No, not these puff rices. There's something better. I cannot make my mouth water for these petty things. Okay, so water, you be reserved for something bigger. Karke, he just turns away. That is Avrita Chakshu. Chakshu here means eyes, all the organs. Eye is only Upalakshana. Just by saying eye, all the 5 organs are taken into that, into the collection. So Avrita Chakshu, for what purpose he is going seeking in granary? Eternally he can be there. Nobody will be able to find this rodent. Because it's huge. He can put hole and then go to the innermost of the sack and start nibbling at rice. How much ever he wants. For endless period of life, he can enjoy the granary. In order to have that enjoyment, he has to give up this muri, this puffed rice. Yacha this Atma, here it says, Avrita Amritattvam Icchanne Pratyagatma. What is that Atma? Atma, Shankaracharya defines, Yat cha apnoti. Apnoti means it attains. Attains also means pervasion. Not pervading. Adatte. Adatte means taking, absorbing. Yat cha atti. Atti means to eat. Adanam. Adanam. Atti means to eat. Okay, these are all very uncommon usages. Particularly atti is a very uncommon use. We don't say. Khana bolte hai na. Khadati word is used in Sanskrit, which is now common. In the old Sanskrit, atti word is used. Attikaran you say. Oh, acha. Bengalis are really, they are more close to Sanskrit. And annam word we are all familiar, right? Because the annam word is derived from atti. Atti is the root from which annam is derived. Adyate, ticha bhutani, that etymological sense is expressed in Taittiriya Upanishad. Anyway, so atti, yatacha atti, it consumes all. Consuming it enjoys all. Vishaya, yatacha asya santataha. Santataha means continuous, unbroken. Bhavaha, existence. It is not imaginary. It is existing. Bhavaha. Tasmat Atma. Therefore, it is Atma. That which is pervasive, that which absorbs everything, that which enjoys all objects in the world, and that which is continuous, and that which is source, which is existence itself. That is called Atma. This is the Sanskrit etymological sense. Oh, Shloka 2. Parachakaman anuyanti balaha mrityoryanti vitatasya pasham atha dhira amritatvam viditva dhruvam adhruveshu iha na prarthayante. Here the important word I have highlighted, yanti. Yanti means getting entangled. Yanti means getting entangled. Though, so balaha means children. Who are children? The unintelligent people are all addressed as bala. Shastras address unintelligent, non-intelligent, unthinking people as bala. Children. Kid, na? We say kid. Very derogatory, na? So likewise, bala, Shastra also when it says bala, it also means it's a bit derogatory. Balavat, they will say. Balavat boleche? কি জানে উনি এই সম্বন্ধে কিছুই জানে না শুধু এমনি বালাওয়াত বলছে you are kidding yeah, very good. Paracha kaman paracha means parak, again external desires, These uninformed, unintelligent bala, what they do, they engage, they get entangled in the external world. Vita mrityoho pasham. Mrityoho pasham. What kind of an entanglement? It is the noose of death. It is not simple golden chain. It is noose of death. It's an important point. How noose of death? The reason is, the more you use your senses are not growing, but they diminish in strength. The more you use your senses, the more its power gets reduced. So, that reduced power is by death only. How otherwise you will die. But science will say, hey, if you don't use it, then it will become a vestige. If you don't use also, it becomes death. It dies out by becoming a vestige. And if you use also, it loses its power over gradual time and decays to death. Because of the 6 modifications every created object has. So death is for certain anyway. But nevertheless, when you are engaged in this external, so what it means is, don't try to engage yourself, get entangled with the external things. Anyway, it's going to lead you to death. Correct? Vitatasya pasham. Vitatasya means it is spread out. This pasham, this noose, is spread out. There is meaning what? There is no escape. For instance, you take a jalam, net, which is 2 square feet, and then throw it in the water. Is it capable of catching fish, enough fish? 2 square feet net. Only that much portion will be able to trap the fish. On the other hand, 200 square feet net, you throw it on the water. That is vitata. Vitata means spread. Tata means spread. Vitata means visheshena. Huge, unlimitably. Wherever you go, whatever you touch, they are all noose. They are all death traps. That is the Shastric object perspective. Don't never ever think that this is negative. Here we are getting value education. It is only telling, oh, you my dear child, know for sure, this is the limit of that experience. The experience that you are so happy about, that you are so hankering after, that you are hungering for, it is only limited to this much. If you are happy with it, happy, be happy. I have no objection at all. Shastra says, not I. Shastra says, I have no objection. But don't think that this will take you to eternity or giving you everlasting bliss. Vitatasya pasham, these are all, jala which is spread out. And you are going to get trapped in one way or the other. In one spot or the other, you are going to get trapped. Ata dhiraha, again the word dhira word is used. You see, courage. A person in request. See, it is like a warrior, like courage has been demanded out of this sadhaka. So he is not a meek, namby-pamby, crying and escapist. Not a negativist. Not a weak guy. Really fully informed. Amritatvam viditva, having known that this Amrita exists, dhruvam, adhruveshu. That is, among all the impermanent things, he catches hold of that which is permanent. That is Purusha, Nityam. Iha na prarthayante. He henceforth never seeks, prays, hungers or hankers after anything that is lesser. Na prarthayante. He does not pray. He doesn't pray. Pray means what? Pray means prarthana, means asking for something that you don't have. He does not gets into the business at all. Because he says, samsara anartha. Because this will take you through samsara samyak sarati, one after another. One leads to the other. One desire leads to the other desire. And it endlessly, okay, Baba, after this project, I will do that. That will never come to happen. After this project, whenever you say, that is procrastination. Procrastination never even helps even in your with your material prospects. With spiritual prospects, it is absolutely not going to help. So, anartha praya. It is, samsara is filled with only evil. Evil in the sense that it is not showing you the right knowledge. It is showing you only the the puffed rice which is sweetened and scented, kept in very limited quantity. Only that much it is being able to show. Yena rupam rasam gandham shabdan sparshan maitunan ete naiva vijanati kimatra parisishyate etad vaitat. So then the characterization of the Atma is being done. But then you say, Arey, you see this puffed rice also, it is so tasty, so sweet. How do you say that I should not enjoy this now? You see, the enjoyment that you are getting from this is also because of that soul Atma only. So that means what? Having reached the Atma, the Supreme Soul, you are only going to get the same joy, but in progressively in multiple proportions. You are going to get that. So it is not that characteristically they are not different. The joy that you get from eating puffed rice has the same characteristic of joy that you will get from having the being inside the granary and enjoying the costly grains. Both the joys are same in kind, but they are not same in quantity. This is Alpa and that is Brihat, Mahat. So, Rupam, Rasam, Gandham, Shabda, Sparsha, 5 sense organs. How are you experiencing all these 5 organs? Shastra says it is only because of that soul you are able to experience. More than this, you don't have anything else. Kimatra na parishishyate. Nothing else remains which is not affected by your Atma. Etad vaitat. That Atma is what? Nachiketa, you asked about that Atma, whether he is there or not. Yes, he is there. The third question's answer. Etad vaitat. Swapnantam jagaritantam jobo ye anupashyati. Yena anupashyati. Mahantam vibhumatmanam matva dhiro na shochati. So this again, the same Atma, how is he interplaying? During the Swapna, we get to see objects. In the waking state, Jagrata Avastha, you see objects. Now, how are we able to see those objects? Who created those objects? In both these things, we are having those experiences in and through our soul. In and through our soul, we are having this. Yena anupashyati. With the help of that only, we are able to get this experience. Otherwise, without that, we are not getting this experience. When you want to drive a chariot, of course, you should have all the reins, everything. But you cannot put the cart before the horse. You have to put the horse before the cart. So you should know the real force behind this entire creation. The cart is moving only because the horses are pulling. So that fact we have to know. So here he says that all these experiences are made possible only because of the existence of that Atma. How is it that one particular little phenomenon, which is ultimately, ultimate cause for all the experiences, that never gets to be inquired and investigated, and yet people call themselves intelligent and knowledgeable? How is it possible? I mean, how can this be acceptable? That man can stay content with the derived products, but not seek after the cause of all these derived products. There is no hunger, there is no taste, there is no. Then what is to be talked about his intelligence? What is to be questioned about his investigative faculty? How can we appreciate that? I mean, there is no way we can appreciate that because the real question goes unasked. So, Balavat, that is actually Balavat. A child is the one who misses the main theme of the story that it sees, and then gets locked up into one kitten biting a dog. In a movie, one kitten bites a dog, and the child is very curious about that particular engagement. But the big fight that is happening and the big problem, enigma that is being solved in the match, that is not visible to the child at all. It is not understandable to the child at all. Our life is also equal to that child enjoying a kitten biting a dog. Mahantam vibhum atmanam matva dhiro na shochati. Again, the person who has reckoned this Mahantam, Vibhum, that Atma, he will never ever come to grief. I mean, that's a wonderful aspect, you know. It's a griefless life. It's a wonderful thought for contemplation. So, in your meditative approach to your Ishta Devata, you have to always imagine your Ishta as a person who has conquered grief. A person who is not touched by grief, who is ever blissful. It's a very, very important aspect in our meditation. So, he doesn't come to grief. Hey imam madhvadam veda atmanam jivamantikat ishanam bhuta bhavyasya na tato vijugupsate. Same idea. A person who knows this self, who is the enjoyer of this world. Madhvadam. Madhu adam. Madhu means honey. Honey means basically what? Honey is the result of all this sucking. Honey is the result of, you know something, honey is the only substance which does not create malam in your body. Madhu is the only thing. Everything else has got a substance which is thrown out of your body through your stools. Honey is proper honey, not your dabur honey. The proper honey which the bees they collect, that is the only substance creation in this world which is not thrown out. Even water is thrown out. So madhu, that is the result of your work. That result, adam means eating, the enjoyer of the results of the work. Right? So the self is the enjoyer of the results of the work, supporter of life, jeevam. Antikat. Antikat means you approximately know. Antika means very close. I don't require an introduction. Broker, a priest, an introducer. You know it just by the proximity. Ishanam, that ruler, bhuta bhavyasya, the past and the future, na tataha. Henceforth, na vijugupsati. He does not hide himself, he does not shy away from himself, he does not save himself. All three connotations are applicable. Vijugupsana. Gopanam means hiding, saving. What is there for him to be afraid of? You save yourself if you are afraid of something. You won't be afraid of. There is no grief, there is no fear, there is no gopanam. Wonderful. Yaf purvam tapaso jadamat yaf purvam ajayata guham pravishya nishtandam yo bhuter bhute bihi vyapashyata. Bhute bihi, amidst the bhutas, vyapashyata, he sees. Guham pravishya, he has entered into the hridaya guha and he is tishtantam, he is settled there, not dancing. He has entered and tishtantam bhutehe, in the midst of the bhutevihi, the panchabhutas. Amidst this panchabhutas, he has gone into and abhi vyapashyata. Purvam ajayata. He is the first to be born. And Adhyaf Purva, he is born before, it is supposed to, water is supposed to be the first object that further gave rise to the organic evolution. Water is the first one. So when you talk about Purusha, he came even before the water. Ya pranena sambhavati aditir devatamayi guham pravishyatishthanti ya bhuter abhi yajayata. Same idea that pranena sambhavati, ya pranena sambhavati. That is, here prana actually refers to Hiranyagarbha. Aditi actually, they are the mother of gods, they say. But here Aditi also means Shabdadi Nam Adanata Aditi. Shabdadi means Shabda sound etc. means the five sense objects. So the five sense objects are consumed by someone inside mind. So mind is also called Aditi. Or you can say ultimately the Atma. Devatamayi is this Aditi is full of devatas. In fact, our Indriyas are also called Devatas. Guham Pravishya, having entered into the Guha, Tishtanti, Bhuter Abhivyajayata. So he is that. Again, another way the same Atma is projected. Aranyor Nihito. Arani is a wood from which you bring out fire. Arani. So, Adhorani, they say, and Urdhvarani. When you strike the two, you get fire. Where is the fire? The fire was inside, they say. The fire came out. Just like the Garbhini has the child in her Garbha. So it is inside. So like that, Dive, Idye, Jagrivadbihi, Havishvadbihi, Manushyebihi, Agnihi. So this fire, the Atma, is now compared to that fire. That fire is now kept burning, means the hunger for the Atma is kept awake. Jagrivadbihi, by the vigilant. He should not sleep. Meaning to say, you should not forget about the Atma. Then, Jagrivadbihi, Havishmadbihi. Havishmad means oblations. Oblations here means what? Continuous discrimination. Your fire cannot be kept burning without fuel. That fuel is called Havish. So, what is the fuel that you will give within yourself? Discrimination. That this is not the Atma, this is Atma. This is not the Atma, this is Atma. So, continuous discrimination is the fire that you give. Manushyebihi, that Agni that you protect inside, know that Agni is Atma. Yataschodeti suryaha astam yatra chagacchati tan devaha sarve arpitaha tadu na atyeti kaschana. It's a beautiful word, atyeti. We see sun is rising, sun is setting. See, what we see in all the four shlokas, that common natural phenomena are taken and the question is asked, how that is happening? And the scripture is etat by tat. By saying that, it says, it is only because of that soul all these are happening. Okay, so etascho udayam, suryaha udayam. Therefore, suryaha astam abhigataha. It also sets tan devaha sarvehe arpitaha. And all the deities are fixed in him. By what? In whom all these deities are fixed. By what? The sun rises and sun sets. Through what? Okay, so now the question comes, we should give the master controller. Only because of him everything is happening. Na atyeti kaschana. And this person is never transcended by that, by anything. So that means ultimate control, ultimate dominion, sovereignty over entire thing that is created. Etat vaitate, that is the Atma. So when the Lakshana, these are all various Lakshanas, Tatastha Lakshanas, because we say Arupam, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Agandham, we have already negated all those physical things. So then how to comprehend? So the Shastra is giving you various connotative mechanisms, not denotative, connotative mechanisms for the mind to settle on something which is not of the world. It will be able to reject immediately whatever the mind proposes. It will be able to reject and settle on that idea which is the garbha of all these things which the mind creates. So this is indeed that. Yadeve, it's a beautiful idea. Yadevehana tadamutra yadamutra tadanviha mrityosya mrityum apnoti ya iha naneva pashyati. This is one of the shlokas which are often quoted by scholars. I don't want you to be scholars, but meaning to say that the meaning should be understood. That's the reason why it is often quoted. So iha, whatever is there, iha means in the body, in the microcosm. Tad amutra means outside, the macrocosm. Whatever is there in the microcosm is there in the macrocosm. Then yada amutra. So see, one-way containment is not sufficient. You need two-way containment for equivalence. A is within B. Obviously, the cup will go into the davra. The tumbler will go into the davra. But can the davra go into the cup? Yada amutra tat anu iha tadanviha tat anu iha, indeed. That also is here. What is there is also here. What is here is also there. This is what Swami Vivekananda said. The microcosm and the macrocosm are made on the same plan. So if you see sun outside, there is a force which is driving the sun equivalent to in your body. Anything external force, you have a force within your body. If it is within your body, you refer it as Iha, which is microcosm. Outside the body is Amutra, it is macrocosm. So they say in Taittiriya Upanishad it says, Shanno Mitra Sham Varuna, Shanno Bhavatvaryama. Mitra. Mitra is also called as sun. But Mitra is that Lord who governs the day. Who governs the day. It's a force which governs the day. Day is a force. Okay. Causing the day is a force. Likewise, the same force is there within the human constitution. As what? As your right eye. Right eye, sorry. As your right eye, Mitra is functioning. So, Mitra is functioning as your right eye. Shastra says, only on the authority of the Shastras we are saying that. What I am trying to say is, let us not get into the science behind it, but let us get into the philosophy behind it. The philosophy is that every force, external, is internalized also. So that means what? You are never ever separate from the world. Never ever separate. So that's a wonderful concept. So there's nothing that is not within your reach. Anything that you want can be attained because it is the same forces which are functioning and you can materialize them. Taittiriya Upanishad in a very, very grand and eloquent manner it describes. This is what is called as the Swarajya Siddhi. Swarajya Siddhi means what? You are going to get a complete sovereignty, a dominion status over everything that is created. Swarajya Siddhi. And it says through meditation you can attain that. It's a wonderful meditation. Series of meditations, in fact. Mrityasa mrityu mamnati yaihanani. On the contrary, if a person sees this microcosm and macrocosm as different, as completely different, or not at all thinnable, then that person, mrityasa mrityu mamnati, he moves from death to death to death to death. Nana iva pashyati. One who sees these two are different will be in the cycle of samsara. Manasei deva aptavyam ekana nasti kinchana. That now that microcosm and macrocosm are to be seen as one. How? Just get into Bill Gates' house and say, this is my house. Microcosm, macrocosm made in the same plan. So, Bill Gates, your house is mine. Or Prime Minister's post is mine. Same, na? It's me only everywhere. Can you go and sit there? No. Manasa. Through contemplation you will have to do. Not by kriya. Manasa eva idam aptavyam. This understanding of the microcosm and macrocosm being made on the same plan has to be settled in your mind. Through your mind. Mind means mind including your buddhi. Here, mind is not to be taken as the one which I described before. The discriminative faculty also is taken into consideration. Manasena atma ne iha nanasti kinchana. Mrityasya mrityayaiha naneva pashyati. Same idea. Angushta matra purushaha. Okay. Microcosm, what is microcosm? If I have to meditate on this microcosm, what will I do? Tip of my head or toe or where? So one location is being given. Angushta matra of the size of your thumb. Purushaha madhye. Madhye means in your heart. Atmani tishtati. Is sitting in your heart. Meditate on that Purusha who is of the size of the thumb in your heart. As if Ishanam is the Lord. Bhuta of the past. Bhavya of the future. Na tato vidugupsate. Having known that fellow, Ishanam, that Lord, he will never hide himself. The idea which came before. Etad vaitate. That person who is Angushtamatra, who is Madhye Tishtati, who is Ishanam, Bhuta Bhavyasya Ishanam, from whom you don't have to hide yourself ever, that person is Atma. Etad vaitate. So many ideas, Shastra is going on giving one after another, so that our mind will settle, because we are trying to do Mananam. Here, we have come out of Shravanam. Henceforth, we will not ask, Acha, Atma, Acha, Atma Bolchen Maharaji, you are saying so many. So, what is the proof that Atma exists? Then I have to go back to the first class. Not this semester, but previous semester. That's a joke apart. So now what are we trying to do? We are not trying to question the existence of the Atma. We are trying to establish in our Atma, in ourself, that this Atma is indeed realizable. We are trying to settle that particular possibility of realizing that Atma at this stage of the discussion in the scripture. So these are all manana, extremely useful for manana. That is the reason why various perspectives are given. Angushta matra purusha jyotihi. This again, Angushta matra, okay? He is to be imagined as what? He has to be imagined as light. And this light means every light will bring out some smoke. Something burning will happen around it. Na? So adhumaka, this light does not bring smoke. Adhumaka. Ishana abhuta bhavyasya, as a lord of the past and the future. Sa eva adya saushvaha. He is there now. This moment also he is there, and tomorrow also he is going to be there. Etad vaitat, the same person. Yathodakam durge vrishtam parvateshu vidhavati evam dharman pratak pasyan tan eva anuvidhavati. So what it says is a very simple idea, but you see, so ideas positively and contrarily are being given. Here one contrary idea is given. That is, water which is flowing from high altitude. Do you think it will piss down in one linear stream? It will be diversified. Parvateshu vidhavati, vividha, vibhinna rupena. You will have distributaries. Parvateshu vrishtam. Rains and falls from the higher mountains, they all run here and there, not in one particular route. So, evam dharmane pratak pashyane, like that, if somebody sees the microcosm and macrocosm is something different, cells as different, pratak pashyane tan eva anuvidhavati, anuvidhavati. He also will be, his mind also will get scattered. He will be running behind every little thing. Yathodakam shuddhe shuddha masiktam, another idea. See, our Swami Vivekananda, when he was Narendra, I have taken more of your time. I will finish it. Huh? Thanks for staying back. So, this one, so Vivekananda, Narendra was asked one question. That suppose I give you a bowl of honey and you are a bee. Bee will suck honey naturally. So how will you suck this honey? Then Narendra said, I will sit on the brim of that bowl and then little by little I will lick, so that I will not get drowned in this and die. Otherwise, if I slip and then get into it, then I will drown and die. Then Swami, that Sri Ramakrishna said, Hare, why do you say that you will die? This is Madhu Amrita. Amrita means no Maranam. There is no death in this. You get an immortality if you dive into this honey. When Sri Ramakrishna told about that honey example, Narendra understood what that honey is and who that bee is. Narendra understood that it is Amrita. It is the nectar. It is that Premananda Sagara. So into that, nobody will get drowned. Anybody who reaches that Premananda Sagara will only grow with a different individuality, will grow much bigger than what they were initially holding on to. So that's why, that's in the sense that you will become one with that. Becoming one with that is not death, it is expansion. See, you were earlier someone, but the moment you came into the institution, what do you call yourself as? You call yourself as an IITian, correct? So when I joined IISc, I was an IIScian, and then subsequently elsewhere. I worked in Siemens. I said I am a Siemens corporate professional. So my idea, false. These are all false identification. I am not denying it, but the identification which I was running after is certainly bigger than my body. Certainly bigger than myself being a son of some father and son of some mother or brother of some person. That identification is much bigger than all those identifications. Correct? But nevertheless, they are all small and tend to become vanish away when I take the identification of myself being Brahman itself, Atman itself. Compared to that, these identifications are much smaller. But even within this, we have got a gamut of identifications, even within the small. So, like that, Shuddham Asiktam. Shuddhe Shuddham Asiktam. Pure water, you take, I put in another cup of pure water. Can you distinguish them? You get more pure water. So, like that, Munehe Vijanata Atma Bhavati Bhavatama. So, a Muni, when he comes to know about his Atma, he becomes one with the Atma. Sir, Brahmavid, Brahmeva Bhavati, idea becomes, Mundaka Upanishad comes here. We come to the end of first canto of second chapter. So we will continue next class. Next class we will conclude. We will finish it. You do what? Okay. 2.2. 2.2 has got another 15 shlokas, or at least that much I have got slides.
Maharaj, after 27th also we can continue class, but at that time I think BTech students will not be there. So only PhD students. That's it.
Then we can conclude the Katho Upanishad. Only few lectures are remaining. We can have few classes. Record it should be there.
Now we will finish next class. We will finish Katho Upanishad.
Oh,
Then it is the best.
We will finish, not to be worried any further way. So the second canto of the second chapter, it is yet another treatment. So in the earlier treatment, wow, how was the Atma treated earlier? The obstacles were shown. What were the obstacles? Lack of discrimination is the singular obstacle. And then treating oneself as different from the collective. This is wrong. Yadi nana eva pashyati, repeatedly that idea was given. And that was supported by giving various natural phenomena, and said that those natural phenomena are all connotatively hinging on the idea, on the presence of the Atma. So it is only because of that these phenomena are also possible. And connotatively, say for example, just as fire within the sticks. Fire within the sticks. No, fire within the sticks is a phenomenon. I can see the stick, but I cannot see the fire. Likewise, I am seeing the world, but I cannot see the Atma. So connotatively, Atma has been inferred. A lot of inference has been, in many ways, how Atma can be inferred are presented in the first canto. First canto. Now the same ascertaining, same inferences into the reality from a different perspective are given in the second canto. Puram ekadashadvaram ajasya avakra chetasaha anushtaya na shochati vimuktascha vimuchyate etat vaitat. So ekadashadvaram means the 11 holes, 11 gates that we have in our body. Our body has 11 gates. So ekadashadvaram puram, he is sitting inside those city of 11 gates. Ajaha, this fellow is not born, but he is there in the city, but he is Ajaha, not born. Asya avakra chetasaha. Avakra chetasaha means that that spandana that is happening in him, that is making him continuously being felt, that is not flickering, not wavering. That is, it is continuous. That spandana is continuous. Like a heartbeat is a spandana that is keeping you alive. Now, is it continuous? Don't say no. As long as you are alive, it is of course continuous. It's continuous as long as you are alive. But at some point, but it is not permanent. It's continuous so long it strikes, but there is one point where it stops. So it has got an end. But this spandana is avakram, unwavering. So it doesn't diminish at all. Anushtaya na shochati. Vimuktaha. Anushtaya, approaching this or contemplating on this, na shochati. This sadhaka never comes to grief. Na shochati anushtaya vimuktaha bhavati. He becomes muktaha. Mukta means he becomes free. And then vimuchyate, vimochanam, he becomes emancipated. He becomes free, he gets emancipated, and then he stops grieving. Anushtaya, by following him, whom? That avakra chetasa, that consciousness, that spandana, which is unwavering and undecaying. And where is that? That is in Puram, in the body. And where is that? That Puram is the city of 11 gates. So, 11 gates. 2 eyes, 2 this, 2 this, 2 this, like that. There are totally 11 gates in our body. This indeed is that. Agumsassu shishad basurantariksha bhota vedishadathitirduro nasad drishadvara sadrithasadyo masadabja gojarutaja adrijarutam brihat. Hamsaha. Hamsaha means? Hamsaha means sun. Hamsaha. Ha means hanti. Hanti means dhavati. It moves. Gachati. Hanti gachati iti. And then Shuchi. Hamsaha. Shuchi sad. Shuchi is pure. That which moves in the domain of heavens. Shuchi also means heaven. That which moves in the domain of heaven. What is that? Aditya. Sun. Sun is moving in the domain of those ethereal regions, which is Shuchi, untainted. So Hamsaha. Shuchisad. Shuchisad Hamsaha. Sun. Vasuhu. Antarikshaha. Antariksha is the intervening space. He is there in the intervening space as Vasu. Hota Vedishad. Hota is the person who does the Homa. Vasu, Ashta Vasus are there, they say. They take care of the creation. They take care of it. So that is the Pauranic way of saying. But in microcosm, how the Vasus are, I have not yet read that scripture which maps the Vasus to our 8 Vasus are there. So there may be something 8 with respect to the body. What is 8 with respect to the body? Maybe 8 directions? No, but Dashadik. Dashadik.
In Vivekananda, it is said that art kuturi mandala. Art kuturi.
Kuturi means?
Kuturi means
Cups.
no. It means small sections.
Oh.
There is small kuturi.
Oh, achha.
That's art kuturi in Vivekananda. So I don't know if there is any connotation also.
But what we do here is now, more than getting into the individual idea, which here simply means, see, the idea is here, he resides everywhere. The soul, the Purusha, the Atma, our primeval source of existence, is it just within me? Or it's everywhere? Now it's everywhere, and how everywhere is everywhere? That is being, see, when an idea is given with lot of examples, that time the idea settles in the mind firm. When a teacher teaches only theory and doesn't give any example or practical, the theory doesn't settle. But that's not the, I don't say that's the right way to do. I always try to understand the subject in the manner as abstract as possible. Because there is a problem in examples. He cooks up, and that only brings out one facet of the theory. It doesn't bring out the full theory. So as a result, what happens? You get biased. So when I study, I try to go for the total abstraction. I mean the science subjects. When you talk about science, full abstraction is always nice. But however, now and then you get zapped. So that time, a small example really helps. So like that, because it is very abstruse, the subject of the discussion of the Atma is so abstruse, the Shastra is taking up a lot of physical examples and then connotatively inferring. So, Hota, Vedishat, Atitir, Duro, Nasat, Nishad, Varasat, Dhritasat, Vyomasat, Abja, Dhritaja, Goja, Adrija, Dhritam, Brihat. So he resides on the earth, Soma stays in the jar, he lives among men, Nrishad, Varasat, he lives among gods, Varasat, and then dwells in the truth, Ritaja, and then dwells in the space, born in the water, takes birth from the earth. He is born of sacrifice. He emerges from mountains. Adrija is unchanging and he is great. Brihat. So we go spirally round to come to the center. So this is all the spiraling that the Shastra helps us to do. Urdvam pranam unnayati apanam pratyagasyati madhye vamanam asinam vishve deva upasate. Vishve devaha, all the deities, Vishva devas, all the gods, upasate, they worship. Take it? Madhye vamanam asinam. Vamana word, Sanskrit, I don't know how it is, etymologically how it is derived, but it means beloved. Vamana means beloved and adorable, affectionate. So that the adorable thing which is sitting in the middle of your being, heart, is adorable. Because we are trying to give up all those fried grams, fried and sweetened grams, and then going toward the granary. So that means we are very courageous, and then we are ready to sacrifice those immediate pleasures for ultimate returns. So when in an attempt to do that, you cannot do it fretting and fuming. You cannot feel disgusted and depressed. So how do you keep yourself enthusiastic? How do you keep your search very live and progressive? Unless you love that. We cannot, if you don't love your studies, colleges will be like prisons. Many children, they feel schools and colleges as prisons. Their minds are not meant for this kind of, four-walled curriculum. They are meant to be in the open, learn from the nature. Some people are like that. So now, likewise, now just for the sake, Vivekananda Maharaj, he said so many things. Now I have to give up this and then aim for somehow I'll do it. If you start doing that, you start hating yourself. So that means what? You need to develop genuine love towards that object of adoration. How you can? That object is indeed adorable. It's not that you are going to falsely hypothecate yourself in the name of love. That object is indeed love. So the Vamana word comes being used very carefully. Pranam unnayati, urdhvam pranam unnayati. This person who is sitting inside, he pushes the prana upward and apanam pratyagasyati. The apana vayu he presses downward. Prana upward, apana downward. Because for our body functioning, this is necessary. Prana should be sent upward, apana should be sent downward. Only then you can be kept alive. And there must be a balance between these two. So, if balance is lost, if apana overtakes prana, what will happen? Diarrhea. You will continuously be going to the toilet. If apana vayu is in excess, then you will be putting your computer, laptop and workstation in the toilet itself. You cannot come out. So the apana vayu has to be limited. And so the prana and apana, there must be a balance in the vayu. So that which the Madhye Vamana, the Vamana who is sitting here, who is adorable, whom all the deities are worshipping, and who is responsible for the balance of prana apana and making them functioning, he is that self. Asya visram samanasya sharirastasya dehinah dehad vimuchyamanasya kimatra parishishyate. Another beautiful idea. We'll finish with this. Okay. When this dweller in the body becomes detached, visram samana means the getting detached. Sharirastasya of the person who is sitting within the body, if he gets separated from the body, what will happen? This fellow becomes corpse. This is no more fellow. So, dehat vimuchyamanasya kimatra parishishyate. When the soul as if removed from the body, what else is there in the body? There is nothing. The whole thing is going to bloat and going to become part of the nature. So, this body, so to say, was worship worthy only so long as the soul was sitting in this. No sooner the soul has withdrawn, this body becomes a very regret worthy substance. Just throw it out. It has no any further utility. In fact, utility, if you say there must be some person, there is no person at all. So, what utility is there? There is no utility. So, see, in a very serious, the earlier shloka, the canto, in a very, the death was not brought in so palpably, contrasting. But now the subject is somebody wanted to sell insurance policies. So this fellow went to the company and then, sir, I have some policies to please buy some policy, please some policies. A young boy, 18 years old, just out of the school, and he wants to earn money, and then with that he wants to go to college. A good boy. So somebody told, Acha, you get me a few policies, then I will give you some money. Acha, theek. So he went, sir, take that. अच्छा ये पॉलिसी लेने से मुझे क्या होगा? सर आपको टैक्स बेनिफिट आएगा. Look at him. Is this the way you will sell insurance policy? Hopeless fellow. Nobody will take policy from you. First thing you should ask, sir, you are going out, you meet with an accident. What are you going to answer your wife? What answer you have for your wife? Did she marry for your early death? This is the way to canvas the policies. Shastra is also now taking that step now. He says, if after your death, your body is not going to ask, who are you? Let us ponder about it next class. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanastu. No, the hard facts have to be told, at some point in time.